Hello class, today we are going over compositions. This is a geometry term, and I have the definition right there. A composition is a series of transformations, and what that means is, so we've learned translation, reflection, and rotation. What a composition is the combination of all three. And for example, I can have you have a triangle, translate 5 to the right and 6 up, and then I want you to reflect over the y equals x. Something like that. That would be a composition. So without further ado, let's move on to some steps. So step number 1 when doing composition is identify the object and record the coordinate planes or points. So we're gonna go over some examples later, but just remember this is talking about the original point. So when they give you that the original points of ABC is these coordinates, please have those recorded. And then rule 2 is do the first transformation. So when they tell you to translate then reflect, please don't reflect then translate. Please follow by order. I'll show you an example later of how that would not work if you reflect first then translate. But for now, just do the first transformation that they ask. Once you get the new points from the first transformation, use the new points to complete the second transformation. So for example, if I told you to rotate and then I told you to reflect, then you're gonna do the rotation first, get those new points, and then reflect. That's the example. We'll do an actual example later, but please just bear in mind that's the idea that we're coming with. And then lastly, the fourth step is to graph our new points, or all of our points. So without further ado, let's begin with example right here. So the example says to move triangle ABC along the vector, which is 0 and 3, then reflect over the x-axis. Now you're like, what does that mean? Well, first off, let's say this is how we are given our problem. We got the original points, which is A is 1 and 1, B is 4 and 1, and C is 3 and -2. And then you see right there my triangle. I already plotted it, which is you see triangle ABC. And now since I already identified the object and record the coordinate planes or points, I don't know why I keep saying planes, sorry about that, points. Let's do the second step, which is the first transformation. The first thing they told us to do is move triangle ABC along the vectors 0 and 3. So that just means to translate. So we will translate. And then how we do that, it tells us to move 0 from the x, and then 3 to the y-axis, which is, x, and it represents the left and right, and then y is up and down. And since it's +3, then I know it's gonna go 3 up. So for A, I'll just do 1 plus 0, which is 1, and then 1 plus 3 is 4. And remember to put the prime there. Alright, since we got that, now we need to find B prime and C prime. Can you please do this on your own and see if you can find the points with the problem asking to move ABC along the vectors 0 and 3? As you see what I did, please try this out for yourself. Now that you found how to do this yourself, or found the answer, let's see if you got it correct. So B prime, you should have gone 4 and 4. And then C prime is 3 and 1. And how I just did it, I just add 1 and 3, and then 3 and -2. And that's how I got my result. And now you're asking, is that it? No, that is not. We're not completed yet. We still need to do the last transformation, which is the reflect portion. So I would like us to do that. And this is reflect over the x-axis. So the formula for that, if you don't recall, is x and -y. So with the given formula, please find my A, B, C coordinates once I reflect it using the new points, not this one. Remember, we're using these right here. So once you find that, use reflect with those points. Let's see what you get. Now that you've reflected the A prime, B prime, C prime, let's see what your answer is. So A, we call it double prime because we did the transformations twice. So this would represent that we did it twice. It would be 1 and -4. As we see, the x right there stays the same, but the y becomes the opposite. So the opposite of 4 is -4. And then we do B prime, which is 4 and -4. And then C prime is 3 and -1. Okay. Now that we got that, now we can just start plugging in the values. So I will do this one first so we can see how it changes. So we have 1 and 4. 4 and 4. And then 3 and 1. So how that graph would look for this. Let me see if I can do a good triangle. Mr. Nguyen is better on paper than he is on his iPad. And I will just put the coordinates. A prime, B prime, and C prime. Now that I plotted my A prime, B prime, C prime, now I gotta plot my reflection, the last part of the transformation, which is where the triangle will be now. So my A is still at 1, but is at -4. My B is at 4 and -4. And then my C is at 3 and -1. So after I did that, my final triangle, which is my purple, ooh, that looks, I tried my best, sorry. Will look like that. And I'll just put C double prime, B double prime, and A double prime. And that would be our final triangle. And you could see, from this, the original was 1 and 1. And then our final result for the reflection is 1 and -4. So let's write that down because there is a pattern going on. So let's say 1, 1, 4, 1, and 3 and -2. And then that's, once we get that to double prime, that'll be 1, -4. B double prime is 4 and -4. And then C double prime is 3 and -1. So in this section, I want you to provide for me what patterns do you see. I'll give you a few seconds, and once you get your answer, we will come back to the patterns that I see. All right. So for the pattern for the x value, I don't see any changes. So I would say that the x would just be, it would be x, x, x. But what about the y? That one is pretty, there's no significance. For the a and b, we know that the y does go up or go down by -5, but the c doesn't change, so there's no real patterns that I can see. So I guess there is no pattern we can write for this one, which is fine. For that, I'll just say x stays the same, but y, there is no definite pattern, which is okay. So let's try this one out. So for this one, please pause for a moment and fill out the reflect and the translate. Whenever you're done, we will continue with the video. Now that you've done it yourself, let's see if the answer changes if we did the reflect first and then translate. Let's see if order does matter. So for a prime, if I did the reflection, it would be 1, -1 over the x-axis. And then b prime is 4, -1. And then c prime is 3 and 2. All right. And then the translation, it'll be a double prime, which will be 1 because it was a 0. And this one goes up by 3, so it'll end up being 2. B double prime is 4 and 2. And C double prime is 3 and 5. And that would be the answer if we did it this way. And as you can see, 1 and 2 for a double prime is not the same as 1 and -4. So please remember that order does matter when doing the composition. So if they tell you to do something first and then do this after, please follow the rules so that we can get the correct answer. And for that, let me know how you feel about this lesson. If there's something that you felt strong with, that you resonate with, please let me know. And one thing that you feel like you need help with this lesson still. If you needed to pause at any moment to write notes, remember you can always go back to pause. And for that, Mr. Nguyen signing out.